All right, so here is the big 485 page PDF. Now, it can be a little bit overwhelming when you download a PDF and you see that it's 485 pages. I get it, but it's worth it. It is worth going through. And I'm going to try to give you a little teaser here of why you should go through this, I guess. The first reason, obviously, is for facts or is for data. So if you don't believe what is being written in this report is necessarily facts, it is data. So we are collecting data. The first thing you're going to find from page 1 through 5 is the Minnesota BCA ACISS 2015-28. Report is dated 1/17/2015. You have the occurrence dates of 1/17/2015 at 1400 to 1/18/2015 at 5:30 a.m. 0530. Page 6 through 8 is Brian Bones' application for a search warrant, January 17th at 15:06 military time. That would be 3 p.m. Page 9 and 10 is the actual search warrant that is signed by the judge of the district court at 15:06. Page 11 is Brian Bones' receipt, inventory, and return. This shows that at 16:51 they searched the house, the vehicles, and the bodies. They collected items AV-1 through AV-22. Pages 12 through pages 13 are written by Sean McKnight. The receipt, inventory, and return. Date of search warrants issued by the judge is the wrong year on both pages, 12 and 13. The collected items AV-23 through AV-55 were collected, or at least written down, by Sean McKnight. And you can see on this, you can see that it's noted who actually collected that item. You'll see a TB, Tara Becker, SM, Sean McKnight, and so forth. BB, Brian Bone. So that's what those little indications are next to it. Page 14 through 17 is the Minnesota BCA ACISS Investigative Supplement Report, 2015-28/1. Report date is 1/22/2015. Two case files are mentioned here. The AVPD 15-303. And the other case file that is mentioned here is the MNBCA Forensic Laboratory S15-00662. Okay, so 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 are CDs. There are 3 CDs out there. 1.1 contains the raw digital images of latent prints from the crime scene. 1.2 is a CD that contains raw digital images of handwriting on wall from the crime scene. And 1.3 is a CD containing raw digital images of bloody footprints found at the scene. Page 17 specifically mentions blood footprints. Now, I know that there is an image out there, a couple of them out there, that when I first saw the pictures of bloody prints on the kitchen living room area floor, I thought they were handprints. I really did. I go back and forth sometimes, but I do, right now at least, I do believe, yes, they are footprints. So I've been looking at any evidence of them being either footprints or any mention of them being fingerprints. But here, they are specifically mentioned on page 17 as footprints. So we're going to start there. Okay, we're going to say, okay, this is what the BCA, this is what the investigators concluded at this point, that they were footprints. What's even more interesting is that you can clearly see that it is one foot. It is a right foot. So here's what I have some notes for about page 18 and 19. This is a laboratory analysis request at the attention of Tommy Booth. The estimated due date for these latent prints would be 4/26/2015. The estimated due date for the question documents, which we'll cover later, would be 4/26/2015. So they're saying by 4/26/2015, they should have some answers about the latent prints and about the questioned documents. The circumstances and purpose of the analysis is for the latent print comparison and the handwriting analysis comparison. Sticking with that document on page 19, the document was submitted by Elizabeth Elyers of the BCA and received by Carol David on January 26, 2015 at 11:17:48. Page 20 is interesting because it's a draft page. Draft is written 3 times in red on this page, and there's really not much to this. This was filled out, and this is, okay, so we're getting into the ACISS report. Now remember, ACISS report 2015-28. And what you're going to see is a lot of these documents are going to have the same name, ACISS report 2015-28, but then it's going to have a /2/3. Let's go to page 21. MNBCA ACISS attachment 2015-28/3. The report date is 1/26. This is the preliminary autopsy. Okay, so page 23, 24, and 25 are the press release report about this case regarding David, Komel, and Raniya, released by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's Office. And it basically says David died as a result of a suicide, Komel died as a result of a homicide, Raniya died as a result of a homicide by 1/21. There's no doubt in their mind. Or they wouldn't have released those documents. But they needed to, especially for public panic, and really, especially just for all of the conspiracies. But I didn't think that they really gave the conspiracies any chance. They did not even want to consider a conspiracy here. That's the way I saw it. I don't see any. I mean, you can read these police reports, and you can clearly see they're very careful to mention the public is not in danger. Everything is fine. We got this case solved. That's pretty much all we were getting. And that just fueled so many conspiracies. And instead of helping these conspiracy theorists kind of understand what was really happening, a lot of people just went silent. They went dark. And I can understand, it really puts the investigators in a very tough spot, especially if they really do want to help the public understand what happened here. It's a very tough spot now because it is an ongoing investigation. But at the same time, they're completely discrediting any possible theory of foul play. They're completely glossing over any possible explanation, any reason, anything that might show that they cannot prove David Crowley is guilty. It's one thing to accuse him, but it's another thing to actually prove it. They were successful in accusing him to a point, and up to a certain date is what I think. They were very successful in trying to convince the public and trying to convince the average person that David Crowley was guilty. They failed, and they continue to fail. And the reason the case needs to be reopened is because they will continue to fail to prove David Crowley is guilty because they cannot prove it. I truly, honestly believe that. Now, can I prove that they cannot prove it? Yes. If these documents, if what I have, if everything that I've seen is what they base their theory on, unless they have secret knowledge, some hidden information, unless they have things that we're not seeing, yes, I believe we can prove that they cannot prove David Crowley is guilty based on their evidence, based on their documents, based on their photographs, based on their reports, based on their comments, based on everything they have given us. There is no way that the police, that these investigators can look at the documents, look at the photos, look at everything they've given us and say, okay, you will understand now why David Crowley is guilty. They really didn't even try. They were already thinking it didn't matter what they told us. we were still going to think David Crowley was not guilty. That's their own fault. And they were monitoring the group page. They were monitoring the Justice for David Crowley and Family Facebook group and the Justice for David Crowley of Gray State Facebook page. So they knew that there were people like me who were not convinced. They lumped people like me into a category where everybody thought that the government killed David, and that was it. That's totally wrong, and that's totally unfair to real people who were really looking for what really happened here. They did a big disservice to us. So I think they were kind of like, well, it doesn't matter what we tell you, you're still going to think David Crowley didn't do this. And to me, that made it sound like, okay, so then you're not going to put any effort into it, right? That's pretty much what you're telling me, and that's what I told, well, I didn't tell Gummert. That's what I should have told Gummert, is you just said that no matter what, you think we'll still be convinced that David Crowley did not kill his wife and his daughter and then kill himself. Even though I've stated publicly many, many times that I'm open to it, that I want to see it, I want the evidence. They didn't even look at that. They didn't even care. Because it wasn't about that. Those are the people they should have been focusing on, not the people who were set that the government killed David, or that David was part of some global conspiracy, or it's going to release some movie that was going to change the whole world, or whatever. So they did a very big disservice to the public, because they did not help us understand. They didn't even take the time, really. So anyways, Gummert did. Gummert at least took the time to answer those questions. He tried to back out, kind of, not really back out, but he, at first he was not going to answer those questions. But he's a man of his word. Gummert is a man of his word, and he answered those questions, and I thank him for that. Page 26 is ACISS Attachment 2015-28/4, report date 1/26/2015. And this is in regards to the latent prints of David Crowley and the DD-214, which is his military record. That was requested by Chris Olson. Status was approved, and the approved date is 1/26/2015. The record originating date is 1/26/2015. It says on January 21st, 2015. Oh, here we go. Here's the FBI thing now. Because it was always, were the FBI involved? Were the Department of Homeland Security involved? Were the FBI involved? Who was involved? So now we have the one mention of the FBI in these documents. I think this is the only mention that you'll ever see. And it's only for Olson to request from the FBI, from the Minnesota FBI, David Crowley's fingerprint card taken by the U.S. military on 6/24/2003. And this FBI agent, Travis Yarberg, sent Olson David's DD-214 on January 21st, 2015. This shows they had David's fingerprint. This is going to be one of the most important things that you're going to read in these documents, simply because of they have one match to David's fingerprint, one. And it's on the notebook in the office bedroom. That's it. They don't have a fingerprint. They don't have a palm print of David's on that gun. They can't do it. Now you could say, well, it's because the gun was there for 3 weeks. Say it's because of the dog, whatever you want to say. That is a fact. They could not put the gun in David's hand. That's a big thing. It's a huge thing. It's one more reason to reopen this case, I think. You talk about the smoking gun. The bloody gun might be the smoking gun. Okay, so Olson gets the fingerprint card from the FBI on January 21st. Then on the following day, he receives David's DD-214 from SAIC Michael F. McDaniel. So even though we were told that the FBI were not involved, technically they weren't, and technically they were, right? They weren't involved in the investigation. There's no proof that they were involved in the investigation, but they were contacted. So, semantics, yeah, okay. I'll give them that one. And then page 28 through 31, another ACISS crime scene supplement, 2015-28/5. So now we're into the fifth part. Still dated 1/17/2015. The crime scene processing. That's what we're going to be going through here now. The BCA received a call at 14:17. They arrived at 15:30. Their work was completed on 1/18 on the following day at 4:30. The BCA on page 28, you'll see the BCA took 800 photographs. They took a photograph of the exterior, the interior, general area, point of entry, no. Point of exit is no. Shoe prints, no. That was interesting. Footprints, yes. Tire tracks, no. Tool marks, no. Victim injuries, yes. Weapons, yes. So when you think about just another thing, going back to those shoe prints, I did notice that comparisons to the officer's shoe prints were made to shoe prints in the snow. And then I wondered, did the police ever compare David's shoes to the shoe prints in the snow? And then I wondered if the police ever compared David's shoes to the shoe prints in the snow. Page 31 shows Ellier's story. She was contacted by the BCA's Operations Center, and she was requested to respond to the crime scene in Apple Valley. SSA O'Donnell documented the crime scene through video, which was recorded onto a mini DVD and which was later transferred to a DVD for easy viewing. So the photos are on a DVD that is marked item .2. Page 32 and 33 cover the Minnesota BCA ACISS attachment 2015-28/7. So now we're into the seventh document associated with this. The report date is 2/13/2015 from 17:05 to 17:13. Okay, these reports and exhibits are received by the Apple Valley Police Department. Report by Chris Olson on 2/13/2015. S.A. Olson received 20 PDF files. 20 PDF files. These files included reports and other investigative exhibits relevant to this investigation. If you look at page 34 through 37, you get half a list of the top 200 donors. Start with number 1, and it's a big jump from number 1 to number 2. Okay, so page 38, you'll see here, we got the training here that Komel and David took. If you're looking at page 40, you'll see Komel's training verification through Quorum Security Incorporated. Page 43 has the gun that David gave to Danny Mason as a gift. Page 44, Komel's firearms bill of sale, purchased on 7/25/2009 at the Gun Zone in Dallas, Texas. She paid with a check, total of $508.76. She bought a Springfield XD 40 caliber, serial number US 163310, signed by Komel. Page 45 through 47 is David's training verification certificate. Course completed on November 8, 2009, and done by the same company, Quorum Security. Page 48 is David Crowley's private firearm transfer to Adam Schambauer. It's dated September 17, 2010. It's given as a gift, and it's from the AR-15. It is the lower receiver, serial number 61242. Page 49 is a private firearms transfer from David Crowley to David Stark, dated June 17, 2012, conducted as a sale. David sold Mr. Stark a Springfield XD 40 caliber subcompact, serial number US 163310. Komel buys this gun on 7/25/2009 in Dallas, Texas for $508. Sells it, or David sells it, to David Stark June 17th of 2012. Page 50 through 133 are the police reports. And here we go again, the police reports. There are some police reports in here, and there are some police reports that are missing. The ones that are missing look like it's generally the ones at the end of the 94 pages. So that's curious. The last update that we get where the case is exceptionally cleared is not in this set of police reports. That's a big deal. The other interesting thing to notice about this is some of what was censored in the 94-page PDF is not censored here. So there is some good data there. There is some good stuff to actually go through. And it'd be good to have a full comparison of everything about what is blocked out in the original 94 pages, and then compare that to what is not blocked out here in these 70 some odd pages that we have of police reports. Page 134, 137 is the BCA lab analysis request by Tommy Booth. The section involved the crime scene team. The estimated due date is 2/17/2015. Firearms, the estimated due date is 5/18/2015. Latent prints, the estimated due date 4/18/2015. The nuclear DNA, estimated due date 5/18/2015. And the question documents, estimated due date 4/18/2015. This is all on page 134. The evidence list begins on page 134 as well and goes through all of the items number 1 through 48. Now, you'll notice just 1 through 48 because right now they don't have 49 through 56, and then later they'll have 57. So you're going to see this document, 3 sets of the same document here. Okay, and as we move on to page 138, the AVPD press release. Now we're going to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these press releases. Note these dates, note these times. This is very important. All right, so on page 138, this is the very first one. This is the first press release. Suspicious deaths. And you'll note here, it does not mention a double murder or suicide. This was set to release at 3:30 p.m. January 17th, 2015. A little over 2 hours have passed, and the first press release goes out. Suspicious deaths. Doesn't really say much. Shouldn't say much because they don't know much. This one is dated January 18th, set for release at 11:40 a.m. This one does mention a murder-suicide, but they're very clear to make sure that there's no threat to public safety. To me, that shows, and I think this has been brought up many, many times, but just to say it again, it does show that by this time, the police were working with the theory that David Crowley was guilty. That is their working theory. They don't have 2 bullets yet. They don't have item 53. They don't have item 57. Item 57, obviously, they don't find that one until February 18th when they're told about it by Chris Klein, or else they would never have item 57. So thank you, Chris Klein. Think about that for a second. Let's say they never had item 57. This wouldn't match up. Nothing would match up. Of course, only 4 bullets and 6 casings found on January 17th does not match up either. So if you're still looking at page 139, you can see, based on this, that the medical examiner's office is still working to positively identify the 3 dead bodies. They haven't identified them yet, and they're already working with this theory that David Crowley is guilty. Even on January 19th, they don't have a positive ID, page 140. But they're already treating this as an apparent murder-suicide. So maybe they're just being cautious. Maybe that's just legal speak, and they're just making sure CYA. And on page 141, dated 1/21/2015 at 3 p.m. Now they have a positive ID. So by 1/21, they have a positive ID. They have already said that they believe that this was a murder-suicide. We can conclude that by 1/21/2015, the police are working with that theory that David Crowley is guilty. They're not looking at other theories. They're not looking at foul play. They've ruled out foul play. Okay, page 142 is going to be the fifth and final press release that we're going to see here. And the investigation is still ongoing. Last verified activity from the residents was late December of 2014, according to investigators. Captain John Brummel is actually quoted in this last one. He is quoted, "The analysis of these devices could provide important information about this incident, but that analysis will take time." Page 144, 145, and 146 all look like they are trying to identify Komel. January 18th, 1:49 a.m. Ryan Olson sends Sean McKnight this image on page 145 to identify her by her tattoos. Probably one of the fastest, easiest ways to identify a person, I would think. We're going to move on to page 147. Page 147 shows how they were trying to identify David Crowley through the tattoos. And you will note that date originally sent from Ryan Olson to Sean McKnight on January 17th, 2015. Okay, page 150 to 151 is a release form where they are releasing the dog to Dan Crowley Jr. The dog was obviously impounded on 1/17/2015. It's a mixed breed. It's a male. Dan Crowley Jr. claims that dog on January 21st, 2015, according to these documents here. So this fax that we're seeing here, this document was faxed from the pet hospital to the Apple Valley Police Department on January 21, 2015. You can see that on page 151. On page 152, you will see that on January 23rd, 2015, Tommy Booth is notified that the forensic scientist assigned to the nuclear DNA section assignment in this case will be Rebecca Diane. Page 153 is the handwritten report with the list of authorities involved. This lists everybody who was involved in this case. Page 154 through 157 is Komel's messages with an unnamed person. The dates include Monday, November 24th at 9:57 a.m., where she met with somebody at a coffee house. Komel's plans for after the holidays. Quote, "I'd also be interested in planning a more elaborate, fun get-together after the holidays." On page 155, she's corresponding with somebody on December 3rd, 12:39 p.m., and she responds on Friday, December 5th at 11:53 a.m. So you can read page 154 through 157, and you can see, and you can judge for yourself. Because we get down to page 156, and now we're in December of 2014. Page 158 shows what guns were taken from the house on January 18th, 2015. There are 9 in total. On page 159, you'll see that Brian Bone is trying to get access to David Crowley's Dropbox. He is requesting a preservation of the account and any account associated with this specific Gmail account, crawls04@gmail.com. Page 160 through 162, we're back to the BCA Forensic Science Service, filled out by the AVPD Brian Bone. This is for the nuclear DNA test. Specifically, look at what it says under latent prints here. Elimination principles from all principles? No. Major case prints, fingers/palms for crimes against people? No. Is the evidence process? No. DNA cases. Known DNA samples from all principals. Yes and no. Still on page 161. It clearly says yes and no. Both of those boxes are marked on page 161. Page 162, the elimination principles names David, Komel, and Raniya. Alright, page 164 shows Joe Cooksley as the forensic scientist assigned to the crime scene team. Page 165 shows that Catherine Roach is the forensic specialist assigned to the nuclear DNA section. Page 166 through 318 shows David Crowley's Facebook account activity. Page 319 through 332 is David Crowley's conversation with Brendan J. Look at page 335 and 336 now, and you will see this post that was removed. You won't find this post anymore on David's social media. This was removed, a removed post, page 335 and 336. So the police were able to get a record of this. All right, page 337 shows Sean Wright with Luke Radowski. Again, you got to ask why. What is going on here? Well, obviously, to the police, page 337 relates to 335 and 336, or it also relates to 338. Check out 338. That's when Sean Wright starts asking for the admin rights. So I was just wondering, when I looked at page 341, I was like, why is this post here? And then I scrolled up to page 340, 339. Now, the thing is, if they already think David Crowley is guilty at this point, why are they doing all this? Why are they going through all this stuff? I don't know. Page 342 is the email exchange between David and Jason Allen. Now, Jason Allen forwards this email to Sean McKnight on January 20th, 2015. David sent this email on 12/17/2014. He was planning for the future. He was actively planning for his future. How does that equal a suicide? How do they go from planning your future to committing a double murder-suicide. Page 345 is a picture of David, Danny Mason, and others on Facebook. Page 346 through 349 is the AVPD Property and Evidence Report. Very important document here. Page 350 is the Property and Evidence Report, dated 1/22/2015 at 1:59 p.m. This is the bullet that rolled out of the carpet. It's also listed as item 026 on there. Page 352 is another Property and Evidence Report with the bodies in the bags. This is print dated 1/27. Page 353 is David's clothing list. Page 354 is the evidence receipt for David's clothing list. Page 356 to 358 is the same thing for Komel, her evidence receipt. Page 362 is the property release form for the same bullet that was found on January 20th that rolled out of the carpet. Very interesting. The item number 53 was found on January 20th. Okay, page 363 to 367, forensic laboratory analysis requests for nuclear DNA comparisons for item 50, item 51, and item 52. David's known blood sample, Komel's known blood sample, and Raniya's known blood sample. They also requested nuclear DNA comparisons for item 53. That was submitted on 1/23/2015 at 10:05. Page 368 to 372 is Brian Bones' application for a search warrant and supporting affidavit and search warrant. 373 to 375, Brian Bones / Sean McKnight receipt, inventory, and return. Now we're getting to the nitty-gritty. AV-1 through AV-55. You'll notice on page 373, dated 1/17/2015, but on page 374, it is dated 1/17/2014. Simple error, minor error. Here we have 23 through 44. Looking at page 375, going to AV-55. 367 is the receipt of filing search warrant. Contains a copy of the warrant. 378, AVPD Detective Michael Tietz to AT&T National Compliance Center for AT&T, sent on 1/22/2015. Page 379 shows AVPD's attempt to contact T-Mobile. Page 380 through 384 is a search warrant application for AT&T phone record 651-333-0072 between the dates of 9/1/14 and 1/21/2015, signed on 1/22. Page 385 to 389 is a search warrant for AT&T phone record 212-470-5794 between the dates of 1/1/2014 and 1/21/2015. Page 390 to 394 is a search warrant for the T-Mobile phone 254-616-0461 between the dates of 1/1/2014 and 1/21/2015. Page 395 is a search warrant for the AT&T phone record 612-999-4890 between the dates of 9/1/2014 and 1/21/2015. Page 396 to 399 is when Gummert learns in regards to Raniya School that David and Komel had multiple emergency contact numbers on file at the school, including the number 612-999-4890. Page 400 to 404 is Sean McKnight's search warrant for the computers and digital media storage, and the list of items are included. This evidence may show motive, pre-planning, intent, or a recording of the crime itself in video, still images, or audio form. And we know that's not true. 28 devices were found in total. This is the autopsy of David has not yet been started. If you look at page 401, just going to quickly go to a different document here to refer when the autopsies of David were done. Autopsy here says 11:50 a.m. So page 1 of David Crowley's autopsy says 11:50 a.m. But Sean McKnight's report clearly says the autopsy hasn't even been started yet. And it's signed and dated 13/30, 1/18/2015. Okay. Page 405 to 409 is Brian Bone's application for a search warrant and supporting affidavit. They are requesting financial records, Wells Fargo records. On page 407, there's indications of financial trouble. From what they say, Detective Bone thought money and debt can be a contributing factor to motive in cases of homicides. He doesn't specifically say this case on page 407, but he mentions that they might have financial trouble. There's indications. What are the indications of their financial trouble? Because people told them that? Page 410 through page 413, David Crowley's financial records warrant and application requested by Brian Bone on 2/2/2015 at 2:13 p.m. They are requesting AAA credit screening and financial records. Page 414 to 418, Komel's financial records warrant and application, also requested by Brian Bone on 2/2/2015 at 2:13 p.m. Page 419 to 421 cover David Crowley's Dropbox search warrant and application. This is also requested on the same date, 2/2/2015, 2:13 p.m. by Brian Bone. Page 422 to 427 is the Equifax request from AVPD with the warrant attached. This is requested by Brian Bone on 2/4/2015 at 4:22 p.m. They are specifically requesting financial records for Komel. Page 428 through 432 is pretty much the same thing, but for David Crowley, it's an Equifax warrant and application. Same date, 2/4/2015 at 4:22. They want David's financial records. So they have this stuff. And we see at the very end of this, again, there is very little proof of any financial trouble, from what I can see here. And that doesn't include David's pending deal for his Hollywood project. And it doesn't include the $14,000 check that was left on their front doorstep. And they're still saying that there's indications of financial trouble. With the $14,000 check found on the front doorstep, it's hard for me to believe there's indications of financial trouble. Why aren't the police seeing the same thing? Why aren't investigators seeing that same thing? Why did Mason Hendricks not want this to be made public? Did not want this in the police reports that were given to us? He told me that. Because this kills that story. This kills the whole theory that they had major money problems. Page 433 is the Apple Valley Police Department Incident Recall Report from Sidra. And this one is dated 10/18/2014. This is when Sidra goes to the Crowley house and is turned away. She wants to go see her sister. She goes there to pick up one of her dad's cars. She does not see her sister. She does not see her niece. She only sees David. From what she says, David won't let her in, won't let her see them. And she's worried. Who wouldn't be worried? You should be worried. This is the second call. This is Sidra's second call to 911. The first call you'll see on page 343. And that one happened same date, 10/18/2014. This call was at 19:08. They arrive at 19:30, and this is closed at 19:51. That's page 434. Take a look at that one. 2 calls within 2 hours. So she's in the lobby of the police office asking for assistance getting the cars back. The police can't help since it's a civil issue. All right, page 435 to 436. Back to the BCA ACISS Crime Scene Supplemental Report. This is 2015-28/8. The report date is 2/18/2015 from 0 to 0. This is item 57. A bullet found a month later. Police will try to tie this bullet to David's murder weapon. I don't think that they'll be very successful. The call was received at 2/18/2015 at 16:30. The time that they arrived is 17:30 and the time completed is 19:30. 2 hours. Exactly. 28 photographs were taken this third time that they've come into the house now. They recovered a spent bullet, Christopher Olson. On Wednesday, February 18th, 2015, Special Agent Lance Lehman is contacted by the BCA's Operations Center to respond to 1051 Ramsdale Drive. Lance Lehman is briefed by BCA Special Agent Chris Olson, and the purpose of this event was to document and recover a spent bullet from the attic. And the BCA crime scene team was on site as well, including Joe Cooksley, who was there on the first day, on January 17, 2015. He was there, and Beth Wolf. Special Agent Lehman took the 28 photos, item 8.1. This is all on page 437. Really good stuff here. The record original date is 2/19/2015 at 9:55 by Lance Lehman. Page 439 to page 442 are the crime scene drawings. Very interesting stuff here, especially when you think about the 3 different dates and you look at the dates on here. So there's no doubt they had to update this twice. Page 443, the Minnesota BCA ACISS lab result attachment. The report date is 2/3/2015 for nuclear DNA. And this is 2015-28/10. Page 444 is the Forensic Science Laboratory report on the examination of the physical evidence. For nuclear DNA, it lists items 1 through 53. That's it. That's what they're testing for nuclear DNA in this document at this point, up until this point. Page 446 are the results of the lab exam. This is the blood. Presence of blood is found on the pistol, item 1A, in 4 areas. It's 1A-1, which is the grip of the gun, 1A-2, which is the slide of the gun, 1A-3, which is the trigger of the gun, and 1A-4, which is the muzzle of the gun. They also find presence of blood on the magazine, item 1B, in 1 area called IB-1. They find blood on the knife, which is item 8, in 4 areas, 3 samples collected. 8-1, which is the blade, 8-2, which is the inside, 8-3, which is the handle. They found presence of blood on the pin, item 40, 40-1, on the grip of the pin. They found presence of blood on the notepad, item 41, 41-1, on the front cover, 41-2 on a page. They found, okay, now we're getting into bullet. I'm going to call this bullet 1, item 42, bullet 1. They found blood on the bullet, item 42-1. 42-1 is the actual blood on the bullet. Bullet number 2, item 43. They found blood on the bullet, item 43-1. We're still on page 446. And we're going to look at bullet number 3, item 44, blood on the bullet, and the blood on the bullet is labeled as item 44-1. Here's where blood was not found. Blood was not found on 1B1, which is a cartridge. Blood was not found on 1B2, which is a cartridge. Blood was not found on 1C, which is a cartridge. Again, blood was not found on 45, which is a bullet. Page 447 shows the hair and fiber and when they were collected on. Not examined at this time were items 4 through 7, 10, item 13, item 16 through 22, item 25, item 26, item 28, item 29, and item 31 through 33. This is signed by the forensic scientist in charge, Rebecca Diane. Okay, page 448, Minnesota BCA ACISS lab result attachment, 2015-28/11. This is dated 3/11/2015. Lab number 2, crime scene team. Page 449 is a forensic science laboratory BCA result of the field examinations report 2, item 1 through 57. Brian Bone requests BCA crime scene team to go to the house to look at the hole in the ceiling and search for any possible related bullet. So Brian Bone calls the BCA Operations Center sends out their team on 2/18/2015 to recover item 57. Hours in the house from 1745 to 1945. Page 452 shows the observations of the scene. Page 453 shows the description of the bodies. This is a very important read. Okay, page 454 shows HCME entered the scene at midnight on 1/18/2015. The bodies are taken 90 minutes later. Fragments of bones and tufts on the hair were observed on the area rug in the living room. Page 454 is a list of items collected. Item 1, Springfield XD, XD546473 with blood on it. Cartridge cases, items 2, 3, 9, 30, 36, and 37. Cartridge item number 7. 3 bullets, 42, 43, and 44. Bullet fragment, item 31. Book with blood on it. Item 4. Pages torn out of the book with blood. Item 5, 6, and 10. The knife, open, locked back knife. Item 8. Page 454 clearly shows that the knife was open. Blood swabs from the wall, A and B, items 11 and 12. Page 455, blood swabs from the east wall, item 29. Blood swabs from the south wall behind the Christmas tree, item 33. Blood swabs from lower front right corner of the recliner, item 34. Blood swabs from wood floor outside of area rug, items 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, and 32. The magazine from item 1 had blood on it, ridge detail, loaded with less than 4 cartridges, also a cartridge in the chamber. Page 456, item 57 is mentioned. A projectile was traveling generally west to east as it entered the ceiling and exited the attic. From the island counter wall below the countertop, items 16 and 17. Blood swabs of underside the island countertop, item 28. Blood swabs of the laptop's A key, item 24. Blood swabs of the keyboard surface, item 23. Blood swabs from the island countertop next to the laptop, item 25. Blood swab of tissue box, item 26. Blood swabs of cell phone, item 35. The dishwasher was open, dish racks pulled out. Blood swab of the kitchen floor, item 21. Blood swab inside the dishwasher, item 22. Page 457, items 46 and items 47, the notepad and the note page, possible handwriting samples from Komel. Page 457, item 48, checkbook from David, possible handwriting samples from David. Blood swab collected in hallway outside of the office, item 27. Blood swabbing of office desk, item 39. Blood swabbing of notepad, item 41. Possible bloody ridge detail and blood on previous page 2. Blood swabbing of pen, item 40. Open safe in the master bedroom. Loaded magazine with keys and miscellaneous items. There is a swabbing of push keys on the top of the safe, item 38. Page 458 is the house diagram. You have the basement wall bullet here. You have the hole in the south wall. Chemical testing failed to detect the presence of lead. Bullet item 45 was retrieved from inside of the wall near the hole in the basement. This is all the basement wall bullet. The bullet hole in the living room was underneath the area rug. Holes were observed in both the area rug and the wood floor underneath that rug. Chemical testing of hole in wood floor failed to detect lead. Page 459, additional items submitted. Item 49 by Special Agent Chris Olson. Item 50 through 53 by Whitney Dorn. Item 54 through 56 by Special Agent Beth Ellers. Nuclear DNA tests were done on items 1 through 45, items 50 through 53, and item 57. Latent prints were done on item 1, item 40, item 41, item 49, and item 54. Firearms, item 1 through 3, item 9, item 30, item 36, item 37, item 42 through 45, item 53, and item 57. Question documents, item 41. No analysis at this time was done on items 46, 48, 55, and 56. This is dated 3/11/2015. Page 460, the Minnesota BCA ACISS lab results attachment, 2015-28/12. The report date is 3/16/2015 for nuclear DNA. Page 461 is about Raniya Crowley's known blood sample, which is item 52, single source composite DNA profile. Page 464 shows the nuclear DNA tests were done on item 1, the gun, which is 1A and 1B, item 8, the knife, blood swabs for items 11, 14, 23, 27, and 35. Nuclear DNA tests were also done on item 38, the push keys from the gun safe, item 41 from the notepad, item 42, 43, and 44, which are all bullets, item 45, which is the bullet in the basement wall. This is all nuclear DNA tests. These nuclear DNA tests were also done on item 50, which is a blood sample of David Crowley, item 51, a blood sample of Komel Crowley, and item 52, a blood sample of Raniya Crowley, page 465. These tests were also done on item 53, the bullet that rolled out of the rug, and item 57, the bullet that police found in the attic. No blood on that bullet. Sampled, collected, labeled as 57-1. Still on page 465, here are the DNA results. Item 1A-3 is a mix of 2 or more people with major male DNA profile that matches David. Major profile does not match Komel or Raniya. Raniya cannot be excluded from being a possible contributor. Komel is excluded. Item 1B is a mix of 2 or more people. Major male DNA profile matches David. Major profile does not match Komel or Raniya. Komel and Raniya cannot be excluded as contributors. Estimates 99.95 to 99.97 of the general population can be excluded. Page 466 is item 8-1, which has a mix of 2 or more people. David, Komel, and Raniya cannot be excluded from being contributors. 99.95 to 99.98% of the estimated general population can be excluded. Items 11 and items 44-1. Single source female DNA profile matching Komel. David and Raniya are excluded. Item 14, 23, 27, 42-1, and 43-1. Female DNA profile matching Komel. David and Raniya are excluded. Item 35 has a mix of 2 or more people. Komel and Raniya can't be excluded. David is excluded along with 99.9998% of the general population. Page 466, item 38, which shows a mix of 2 or more people. Major DNA profile matches Komel. Major DNA profile does not match David or Raniya. However, David and Raniya cannot be excluded from being possible contributors to the mixture. Page 467. Item 41-2 has a mix of 2 or more people. Major DNA profile matches Komel. Major DNA profile does not match David or Raniya. David and Raniya are excluded. Item 45-1 shows no DNA profile obtained. Item 53-1 shows a mix of 2 or more people. Major DNA profile matches Raniya. Major DNA profile does not match David or Komel. David and Komel are excluded. This is very important right here because item 53-1 is the bullet that rolled out of the carpet on January 20th. What you're reading here shows they did not have the bullet that they will say killed Raniya until 4 days after the bodies were taken out of the house. That's ridiculous. 4 days after, January 17th goes by. Bodies are taken out January 18th. January 19th goes by. January 20th, when there's cleaners in the Crowley house, a bullet rolls out of a carpet, lands on the hardwood floor. Cops are called in to collect this bullet. This document on page 467 shows this is the bullet that killed Raniya, most likely. That's what it's telling me. They missed this bullet too. The only bullets they found, if their logic is correct, the only bullets they found on January 17th were related to Komel. Page 467 to 468 covers item 57. There is a male DNA profile that matches David Crowley. Komel and Raniya are excluded. Insignificant genetic information led to no statement on minor types. Page 469 is the autopsy reports. Minnesota BCA ACISS attachment 2015-28/14. The report date is 4/14/2015. This is the final autopsy reports. Page 470 shows that Chris Olson receives the final autopsy reports. Final autopsy claims David died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Page 471, the Minnesota BCA ACISS lab result attachment 2015-28/15 with a report date of 5/24/2015. Lab 5-FA. Page 472 covers the forensic science laboratory tests on firearms. Lab 5, there's an item list. This is dated 5/22/2015. Page 473 shows the results of the laboratory examination. On item 1, the gun fired item 2, fired item 3, item 9, item 30, item 36, and item 37, for a total of 6 .40 cal Smith & Wesson cartridge cases. Now, item 1 also fired item 42, item 43, item 44, item 45, item 53, and item 57, for a total of 6 .40 caliber Smith & Wesson bullets. They find matching features between item 57 and item 31. So item 1 fired item 31. Item 7 was not examined. It's a cartridge. So they take the matching features between item 57 and item 31 to show that item 1 fired item 31. Examinations of item 42, 43, 44, 45, 53, and 57 showed them to be consistent with bullets from the Winchester PXD1 brand cartridges. You know, when I first read this, I thought it was the other way around. I thought they were using item 31 to help prove item 57 was fired by David's gun. Reading this now, I'm looking at it differently, and now I'm thinking they're trying to say what they found with item 57 helps them prove something about item 31. They don't even know that David's gun fired item 57, and they're going to use item 57 to help prove that David fired item 31. Lisa Kinsella is the forensic scientist here. Page 474 is the Minnesota BCA ACISS lab result attachment 2015-28/16. The report date is 7/2/2015. Lab 6. This includes a list of question documents. Includes 41A-1 to 41A-59. Lots of items to cover here. Okay, page 476. We're talking about blood. Item 41A-20A. 2 ESDA lifts taken of impressions found on the front side of page 20 of item 41, the spiral notepad. Item 41A-21A, 2 SDA lifts taken of impressions found on the front side of page 21 of item 41. So the comparisons will not be done at this time. If you're looking on page 477, comparisons of item 41A-30 and question writings in photographs saved, item 55, will not be conducted at this time. Still in the handwriting now with page 478 with alternate light source examining results. Exams of item 41, front, back, 59 pages inside, failed to reveal any latent writing material. Items 41A-1 through 41A-59. So they go all through these 59 pages. 41 is the notepad. 41A is the paper on the notepad, and 41A-1 through 59 are the pages. The indented impression examination results are also listed here. These impressions were done on 41A-20A and 41A-21A. Limitations. Additional writing impressions were developed that could not be interpreted. Page 480 is the BCA-AC-ISS lab result attachment 2015-28/17, dated 9/10/2015, September 10th, 2015, done by Lab 7. Page 482 shows the latent prints, dated 7/31/2015. List of items submitted are all from page 482 to 484. This includes the gun, the magazine, the pen, the notepad, 59 pages. Item 49 is a known fingerprint card of David Crowley. Item 54 is a CD with images of 25 NEF images. Item 58 is a disc with images of latent prints from 1A, 1B, 41A, and 54. Latent prints. Item 1A, latent palm print, which is labeled as LP1A-1. Item 1B, latent fingerprint, which is labeled LP1B-2. Item 54, a latent palm print, labeled LP54-1. File names BCA499, NEF through BCA5001, NEF. A limited examination of latent prints is apparent blood from item 41, 41A, 41A1 through 41A59, all submitted as item 41. So on the notepad, they find 2 latent prints that are suitable for comparison. The latent prints, item 41A-30, latent print impression, could be from a finger or a palm. Item 41A-31, latent fingerprint, LP41A-31-1. This is blood. Now don't forget, they searched in the Muffin database and no suitable candidate was generated for these latent prints. Latent print results, page 485. LP1B-2 is a fingerprint, inconclusive to Crowley due to the limited quality and quantity of information in the latent print. LP41A-30-1 is a palm or fingerprint, inconclusive to Crowley for the same reason, because there's a limited quality and quantity of information in the latent print. It's not a good enough latent print. LP41A-31-1 is a fingerprint with David's left middle finger on the note page. 2 palm prints, LP1A-1 and LP54-1, could not be compared due to no known palm print of David, according to page 485. This is dated 7/31/2015, well after they had contacted the FBI and the military. So they have palm prints, but they can't match them to David. They have a fingerprint, 2 fingerprints. Can't match them to David. Yet they're still going to go and claim David is guilty. Contact information is left if additional examinations are necessary. I believe they are, so hopefully we can get to that. Contact the BCA latent print section. This is written by forensic scientist Jennifer Kostrowski. They reviewed 5 latent print results, 3 fingerprints, 2 palm prints. Okay, the 3 fingerprints, LP1B-2, inconclusive to David Crowley. LP14A-31-1, inconclusive to David Crowley, which is the notepad. LP 1A30-1 is inconclusive to David Crowley, and this is the note page number 30. LP 41A31-1 has David's left middle finger. This is the only fingerprint that they have, is of David Crowley's left middle finger, found on the note page, page 31 of the notepad. That's it. It's all they can conclusively say. That's what they have. A left middle finger for all of us, pretty much. Okay, palm prints. LP 1A-1, no palm print comparison. LP 54-1, no palm print comparison. They have no palm print comparison for David Crowley. Fingerprints don't match except for one. Don't match the gun, don't match anything else. Until we meet again, the gray stage continues.